Welcome back to the Charlie Cook Cricket Podcast. Now, what a sensational day of cricket that was. India looked like they're completely in the driving seat. Then all of a sudden, 41 for 7. England fight back, then dominate with the bat. Ollie Pope scores his second century in a row and looks pretty good doing it. Jasprit Bumrah is still the best bowler in the world by quite a considerable distance and scares me every single time he has the ball in the hand. I'm joined with Billy today. We're going to break down all of the action that happened on day two. Really decent day of cricket in the end, really, wasn't it? Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, a very entertaining day. The highlight for me was probably the start of the England innings with overcast conditions, lights are on. Bumrah had the ball seemingly on a string, and then you look at the scorecard and England are going at 7 and over, more through luck than design at points, but a really enjoyable day that sort of towards the end of it wasn't baseball at all and became traditional test cricket in a way, so really enjoyable.
I thought it was something that England actually did well of kind of building some pressure up and not just attacking the whole time like they have done. Like they understand that Bumrah is by far the biggest threat in this side. Like you don't really have to worry about anyone else. Siraj had a few overs where he looked quite threatening. He had Root in trouble for a little bit. And again, the foot came off the gas a little bit for that. And it's just something that we haven't seen from this England side. And it almost looks like they're starting to learn that not all the time you can have to go at 5 and over. When Prashid Krishna and Shardul Thakur are bowling, go at 6 and over. It doesn't matter. When Bumrah's bowling or when Siraj is on one, just hold it in there. 2, 3, 4 and over. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I thought Pope and Duckett set the tone perfectly, really. They weren't looking to take Bumrah off his line. They were happy to let him bowl where he wanted to, but they were still looking to be proactive. They were still dropping that quick single to Gully and looking to run, or they were happy to open up the face of the bat, especially Ollie Pope, run the ball down to third man quite a lot. And it was much more, a word I've used quite a lot today was sensible. Again, something that we aren't accustomed to seeing from this England side all the time. But it was a theme throughout Pope's innings. They gave himself the option to just sit on Bumrah if he wanted to and take down the other bowlers in the attack. And it was probably his best innings on home soil in his Test career.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. We'll start with India. 430 for 3 they were. Looked a little bit like they were staring 600 in the face for quite a lot of their innings. Rishabh Pant goes to his century. He's really exciting to watch. Just have absolutely no idea what is going through his brain at any point. I mean, just completely and utterly nuts the way he plays cricket. When he went to his century, what was it, a one-handed slog over mid-wicket? And you just think, you shouldn't do it. This is Test cricket. Like, it deserves more than that, doesn't it? We're not some IPL franchise. This is Test cricket, and you're just taking the mick out of it.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable from Pant, and you get the feeling, even though he's got an incredible record in Tests against England, that Stokes probably doesn't mind that when he's coming out and playing that way, because the whole time you're looking at it thinking he is going to get himself out. He's not going to be stern in defence and put 200 on the board. He might quickly raise to 150, but you will get him out. I don't think they were quite expecting to get him out by leaving one that was going to hit the stumps and go an LBW. But I think the summing up Rishabh Pant is throwing his bat away as he's running down the wicket and somehow not getting stumped. That it's the beauty of it. It was annoying at the time being an England fan. You just wanted him gone, but in hindsight, that's just kind of the beauty of what you get with Rishabh Pant.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as bad as the Ben Stokes one in Pakistan from last year, when the bat was out of the frame. When they went to the wide angle, it wasn't quite that bad, but he should have been gone. I mean, this is the question of I think Jamie Smith is a fantastic batsman. I don't want to give him too much stick for him missing the odd chance here and there. If we wanted the perfect keeper, we would have picked Ben Foakes, but we don't want the perfect keeper. We want someone pretty decent behind the stumps that is really good with the bat. And I think Jamie Smith is that. So I don't want to give him too much stick, but it was a stumping that he should have taken. And some you never know. Maybe the bat flying could have put him off slightly or whatever it is. Just the limbs and different things that were going from Rishabh Pant could have put him off. It was Shai Bashir that picked up the wicket of Shubman Gill to break that partnership of 209 it was in the end between Gill and Pant. I thought he's actually bowled relatively well. Bashir, 1 for 100, but looked tidier than he has done in previous games. And then it was Stokes taking 2, and then Josh Tongue finishing up the tail, and looked really good doing it. I thought Tongue almost disappeared yesterday, that I said on the pod. But I thought today his line and length was so much better. It was a lot more of that kind of big kind of hooping in swinger to the left-handers that we saw in the Ashes, like the one that dismissed Warner at Lords. Very similar to that, and that was obviously the one that got Pant as well. So I thought Josh Tongue was a lot better today.
Yeah, that's probably something that England have been missing over the last few years. Obviously, there's been a big change in the seam attack that England have brought into this summer, but there is always an issue with dismissing the tail in recent years. And Josh Tongue's spell today, we've seen it at Nottinghamshire this year. The opening weekend against Durham comes to mind, when that game is petering out for a draw, and he won it within a quarter of an hour, really. It was just a really good spell of bowling to the tail. It was full, it was quick. The conditions were changed a little bit, so we got a little bit of movement, but it was just exactly what England needed at that point. And again, India were looking, probably at that point, you've come down from 600, you might be looking at 550, even down to 500, and Tongs wiped that completely out of the equation. On Bashir, again, I completely agree. I think he was much more consistent. He was landing it in much better areas. He got some nice drift on the ball, but it's just the beast of spin bowling, really, that he'll bowl a lot worse than that and take fifers.
Yeah, if that's the level of control that he's gonna, because that's what you want from a spinner. I know that this England setup are a little bit weird, and that they want wickets all the time, and they don't care how many runs you go for. But realistically, you want a controlling spinner for the first innings, then it will start to turn in the second innings, and that's where you want him to take the wickets. That's what every single spinner that has played professional cricket will talk about. Of in the first innings, I'm here to control the game, and then when the pitch breaks up, that's where I take my wickets. That's when I go to work. And I thought Bashir did that role very well in that innings. Moving on to England's innings, Zach Crawley was the unlucky one to fall first. I know that there's a lot of kind of Zach Crawley slander about, and should he be dropped? Should he be in the side? And kind of answered some questions with that ton against Zimbabwe. But I don't think anyone plays that Bumrah ball any other way. It was just unplayable, and I think sometimes you just get one like that.
Yeah, it was as good as they're going to get as an opener in those conditions. They'd just been off for rain, so it's as bad as you're going to get it, really, in those conditions, facing the best bowler in the world. He'd already nicked one through slip, got a boundary for it, playing with a straight bat, and then the one that he went to, he rolled his wrists and pointed towards mid-wicket, but again, although it's probably not textbook, I can kind of forgive it for flicking your wrist over, for trying something different if you've nicked 2 balls before. But again, you can't be too picky when you're facing Jasprit Bumrah, because he's looked like he's been bowling on a different pitch to everybody in the last half of today's session.
I mean, it's his natural angle that just makes it feel like it's going so far into you. Then all of a sudden he'll get one to just nip away, and it's basically unplayable. And I mean, Crawley trying to push it to mid wicket because that ball's on a leg stump.
Yeah,
but it's ended up moving so much that it's now on the top of off, and you just think it was just unplayable. And there was a lot of other dismiss. On a different day, he takes 6 or 7. He is that good. He's amazing to watch, and he was amazing. He's amazing to watch when he's not playing against the team that you support, because I am terrified every time he has the ball in his hand. I don't care about any other bowler apart from when they've got Bumrah going in, and it does just terrify me. Duckett makes 62. He looks really good for it, but again, bit of a loose shot to get out to Bumrah. I thought he played with. You're so used to these Duckett kind of runnable 50s at least. I thought, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, of him just being a little bit more sensible. I thought Joe Root looked a bit iffy for his 28. Did he not look as fluid as he has done I know he's had issues against Bumrah in the past.
Yeah, it looked like India were quite heavy on trying to target that in-swinging delivery that can get root trapped. Obviously, he got given quite early into the innings, which was a shocking decision.
Mm.
I couldn't believe that it was given. But it looked like they were kind of focusing in on that and trying to get him to play across the line on the ball. In the end, the wicket the ball that he went to, sorry, it's a delivery that he'd been playing relatively well for the rest of the day. And we know that he's fantastic at playing that all throughout his career. And it was just, I don't want to say played on ego, because I don't think Joe Root necessarily plays with a massive ego, but India knew that he might go after that ball. And yeah, I think it wasn't his most fluent, but I can kind of accept him just sitting on the bowlers, eating up a little bit of time at the crease and not being too reckless with it.
Yeah, I do agree. It was just he also hasn't played a lot of cricket in the last 6 months. Obviously, you know he had some of the white ball stuff, but in terms of red ball cricket, since the New Zealand series at Christmas time, he's played a test against Zimbabwe and a 4-day game for Yorkshire. There hasn't been a lot of red ball cricket for Joe Root, so I'm not gonna say drop him all of a sudden. I'm not gonna let him off because he doesn't need letting off. But I just didn't think he looked at his most fluid today, and it always worries me because he does. It seems stupid him saying that he has issues against these best bowlers in the world like Cummins, Rabada, Bumrah, because they average 20. Everyone struggles against them. But it does definitely seem to be kind of Bumrah, Cummins, Rabada that he really does struggle and had problems with Bumrah going back to the India series in 2024. Obviously, when he tried to reverse ramp Bumrah over the top, and so that was a little bit of a worry. I thought Ollie Pope's century today was fantastic. Just I think what he's done is he's trying to start a slightly different way to what he has in the past. I think he's trying to be a little bit more aggressive in that first 20 balls is something that I really know. I noticed it in the Zimbabwe test. I noticed it today of he's knows that he's got a problem starting. And I think if he can score some runs and build bat on ball and not try and just see himself in for those first 20 balls and actually go out and attack the bowlers, that seems to be something that's working for him. And he's got back-to-back centuries now. Going back to Surrey last year, the Oval last year, he had a century in that game as well. So that's 3 home test matches in a row now. He's all got centuries in, and has looked pretty good doing it.
Yeah, on his first 20 balls, I completely agree. I was thinking about it today. He looks as if, a duck isn't going to do anything for him. He's going to be under pressure regardless. And he looks as if he's come out to think, well, the pressure's on anyway, so I may as well go out and play with that freedom and kind of use it to his advantage. And again, you look at those conditions that he came to the crease in 2 years ago. Do you think Ollie Pope would have been coming out and playing like he did today? I don't think you would. And it's just nice to see him kind of have a bit between his teeth. You see, when he got to the 3 figures, he took the helmet off. He looked a bit annoyed to say he played such a fantastic innings. It's a point to prove, and that's it's what top level sport does too. And it's brilliant to see that he's played like that today while the pressure's on.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic and has cemented his place at least until the end of the series. For me now with that century, you just as much as I love Jacob Bethel and I think he's such a talent, he is still 21. If people are still scoring runs in the side, and if he wants to fit in at that number 3 role, then Ollie Pope has, for me, has secured that until at least the end of the series now. If he's got 6 ducks in a row going into the 4th test, then okay, let's have a conversation. But for right now, unless he is genuinely horrendous for the rest of it, he's got that spot for me. What you want to do with the opening spot? My thought is always I don't want to try and shove Bethel into an opening spot. I'd like to go with an actual opener, and for me that's Tom Haynes from Sussex. I think has to slot into that spot if we do look to replace Crawley. But then replacing Crawley seems stupid because the only reason that we pick Crawley is because we think he'll score runs in Australia. And are you going to drop him just before you get to Australia? I don't know. I think there's different ways. I think this England side will just pick the side that they want to, regardless of form and who they think are going to score the most runs. This game is poised. I would like to ask you a prediction, but I don't really know which way it's going to go. I mean, such an important first session tomorrow. If India pick up more than 2 wickets, you've got to say they're going to be in the driving seat. If England go in 320 for four, completely different game then, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think when Brook went on the penultimate ball of the day, it was looking a very different game. Then I think you've got to take the rough with the smooth with the modern England team, but I thought that was a bit of a ridiculous shot to play in the circumstance. At that point, it was looking very different. Obviously, we're not fully sure about Ben Stokes' batting yet since he's come back from surgery. He looked fantastic with the ball, but he didn't have all too long at the crease against Zimbabwe. And Jamie Smith, he's not really had a long test innings like in anger since Pakistan, really. Obviously, he missed out on the New Zealand tour. So there are maybe small questions around the middle to lower order. But if you can get through that first day where Brook and Pope are still there, then I think I'd put England in the driving seat.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Driving seat for what? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, you'd imagine that. I mean, I haven't looked at the betting odds, but I'd imagine that the draw is probably favourite right now. It's not. India are favourites, and then it's England, and then it's the draw. They're all really close in the odds, though, so it is a bit of a pick 'em between which way the result's going to go. But that's the shortest I've seen a draw for an England game in a pretty long time. But it is going to be a very exciting day of cricket tomorrow, and we'll be back on the channel to break that down tomorrow. Billy, thank you very much for joining me for today. Please remember to leave a like. Please remember to subscribe. All the usual stuff. Leave a review. Leave a rating. Whatever you can do on your podcast provider. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for a day 3 review.